who is now a apprentice shipwright. Is that right?
I don't know. I think Elrond's in his happy place. He's just, you know what?
I'm just gonna be. I
I,
would
I
love.
need to, I need to take my mind off it. I'm gonna go build some Legos.
Okay, you
Like
know,
me.
you know, you know what? You know what we need. Peter Jackson needs to watch this and then update the way that George Lucas does. Update the original trilogy and have a scene where, as the Fellowship is arriving, cut to Elrond in his workshop building a ship randomly, like the good old days. He's like trying to get his mind at ease. He's about to have a big meeting about the One Ring of Power, and he's like, "Oh, this is all so familiar. I've been here before." And he's just gonna be like working on his little ship. No, don't. Peter, do not change a thing. Don't follow George down this rabbit hole. Don't do it. It's already perfect. As Kieran said, you know, something that we never thought we'd see is perfection, and you did it. Don't mess with it. Anyway, this scene here, it's a bit of a fake out, and it worked on me. I straight up thought, because these writers have sometimes given themselves the easy out, that this little scene would work, at least right away. I thought it was just going to be a happy, like, oh, let's be friends again. And I do actually think that they have some real important aspects to talk about here in their relationship. And Galadriel has a great zinger here that, to be honest, it's a debate ender, where she says that you promised me that if there was ever a hint of what I said to be true happening, you wouldn't rest until you put it to right. That's case closed, Elrond. You lose. You have to go and help, because as much as you think you're right about the rings, or what you think about the rings, you did swear an oath to Galadriel that you would see her unfinished business finished if what she thought to be true was happening. And now we have the proof.
I mean, I would say that was under the pretense that you're going to Valinor. You can't do anything about it.
I mean, okay, but still, I think, I mean, like if I was Elrond, even in that's the case, that I thought, hey, I said this because you were going to Valinor and you lied about that, I would still say, like, but look, you were right, Sauron was still alive, and I did swear that I would help you get rid of it, or I would get rid of him for you, or help whoever was tasked with that get rid of him, because that was so important to you. So I think it's a powerful statement, and so I actually can see that changing Elrond's mind, and it worked on me. I was like, hey, this is a great scene. They have true opposing views on things, and they're upset with each other for lying to each other. So, like, well, lying. Elrond didn't lie, but he's a rat. He snitched on her. He's like, she's like, hey, that Halbrand dude was Sauron, and Galadriel had a fling with him, and she brought Sauron in here, and he made magic rings. And Galadriel's like, you snake, how could you tell Gil-galad that I brought Sauron in? That's secret. So they have a true problem here, and I think this is great. Like, this is actual drama that I want more of, because it's not just about whether or not the rings are infected. It's like their actual relationship. They used to be best friends, and now they almost hate each other. At least Elrond almost doesn't even recognize her. He's like, everything you're doing is the opposite of what I think you should be doing. So they are at an impasse, but they have this great debate, great scene. So yeah, I love it. I don't know. Is there any more here that you want to talk on? I think, go watch this scene. It's a good one.
I mean, yeah, it's just Elrond's upset about elves wearing the rings. He thinks they're playing into Sauron's hands. He's still pretty mad. And then, okay, I think that's it. Then Elrond starts speaking to Círdan again.
Yeah.
And that's when you have him like playing with the fish.
Yeah, so that's when Círdan shows he's like, we don't even fully understand this power. I forget exactly. So this scene isn't as, I mean, number one, Círdan is shaving in this scene. I don't know the lore. I only looked up whether or not elves could have beards so I could talk about it in the previous episode. I don't care if elves have beards, to be honest. I thought he looked better with a beard. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know if he's supposed to be shaving. I don't know if older elves shave their beards off. From what I can tell, all the images that people post of this character, he has a beard. So I was surprised to see him shave it off, but I don't care either way. But anyway, he's shaving, and then we have this scene. It's not as great because it's not conflict as much because Elrond respects this man or this elf quite a bit, and he's basically trying to get Elrond to see, like, if the rings are infected. We at least established that the 3-ring structure, and we should be able to hold it at bay. But also, if we were to go along with Elrond and ditch the rings, are we not still dooming Middle Earth, the place that we're supposed to help? Are we not dooming them to a horrible fate if we just let ourselves like no longer be able to be here without these rings? So yeah, it's a decent scene, and we get to see the power of this ring to some degree and how it can control. And like you said previously, like, this might be a great example of how Sauron manipulates his own orc soldiers. So yeah, I think it's a cool scene, and it's a decent argument from Círdan. It's one that, again, we already heard this argument before, like, from other people. Like, look, either we don't get the rings and the elves leave, and then the Middle Earth is left to its fate, or we do get the rings and the elves might be corrupted, but might not. And if they're not corrupted, we can help. And if they are corrupted, then hopefully we have put in some safeguards that we can fight back against the corruption, or leave if it gets too bad. Like, we kind of have some outs if we need to, is the idea. Now, it's interesting that I think what they're trying to do is get that similar notion that elves had during Fellowship, where they were fleeing Middle Earth. And like, I don't know if it's quite working. Like, no one I know who has seen both the original trilogy and this show who is not a hardcore fan, no one else is, like, really picking up on that. So I don't know if it's if that is their intention, it's not quite working. They just seem to really be focusing on this ring discussion, and I will say it's not landing with the more casual fans that I have interacted with. They don't really care about the ring stuff as much. Like, that the rings are built, like the elf rings are built. Okay, let's get on with it. Like, that's sort of, at least from my interaction, that's sort of the mindset. Yeah, so I guess we jump right from there back to the stranger and the Harfoots, and they are in the desert, and they have run out of water, and everything sucks. Like, they are just struggling. I will say, I actually really like these scenes. So I don't even hate the Harfoot scenes anymore. I kind of like them. So I'm always, like, looking forward to seeing what the Harfoots are going to be, like, Harfoots and Stranger are up to. I think these scenes are really fun. I know it's bleak, like, the scene's bleak, but it's well done. And this one's pretty good too. They have to carry the stranger. They have a funny line, and actually the joke works. I laughed at it, which is, how can someone who hasn't eaten in like several days be so heavy? It's a fun joke. And then there's a trap set up on this well, and it's awesome too, because yes, you can see the trap.
It's a bell, yeah.
But in the moment, you're not thinking about it. You're just thinking,
they just want the water so badly, yeah.
Like, you're right. Like, if you had the time, you could dismantle the trap or dismantle, like, the sound, but they don't have time. Gandalf is about to die if he doesn't get water. And I say that, it's not meant to be a joke, but that might actually be what's happening here. Gandalf might almost die, if not for a few Harfoots.
Well, he said he wasn't breathing, yeah.
Yeah, they're about to do CPR.
He kind of had died, yeah.
But he comes back to us now, at the turn of the tide. Anyway, honestly, this scene's well done. I think it's really cool. He picks up once he gets the water, they perform CPR with the water. He gets the water. He starts to breathe again. And then he finds a stick. And what guy hasn't been on a hike and found just the perfect stick? It's so beautiful. Now, is it just me, or does this look like a very religious image of this old man picking up this shepherd's cane almost? And he's got this old ratty cloak on. You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't think about that.
you didn't think about that? Okay, my mind went there. I was just like, it's kind of interesting that they would have that staff shape be the one he picks up, because his staff in the other movies.
Because I wasn't even thinking shepherd. I just thought it looks like kind of like a cane.
Oh, I mean, it does look like that too. I was thinking
Yeah.
shepherd, and even just the way
Yeah.
he holds it, very delicately in his hand, and like is holding it out. It kind of has, for me, a shepherd-esque vibe to it, just the way he looks. But you know, that could just be accident. It's just a random stick, or a random. I mean, it's not really just a random stick. There's no big trees. It is something, so it's like designed that way.
Yeah.
And it's a bit tall to be a cane, so I don't know. I thought it was a shepherd's staff, whatever those are called, where you kind of can hook the sheep in or something. But then these masked dudes show up, and they have this eye flag, which is kind of neat. And I don't know, where do you stand on this? So like, is that eye flag meant to?
You know,
be...
I didn't notice that. So.
Yeah. So that on their flag, it's a black,
Yeah.
kind of torn up, ratty flag, and it's like an eye with like flames coming out of it. So
this is very Sauron.
very sour. So like, I think that flag is what that Dark Wizard's flag is probably. He's given it to them to like wear as they do their work. And yeah, so I think this is a whole Sauron cult that they're part of, and they're doing this thing for, and it actually ties in to the whole Sauron eye. I love it. So I'm actually on board with it.
If they had this cult going, it would have been so easy to tie Waldrig into this. Like
Yep.
He's their man in the Southlands.
I can't believe that they don't have someone in with the orcs or something keeping tabs on Adar, because Adar is no friend to them. So yeah, I would have loved to see Waldrig get wrapped up in this. It would have been fantastic. I hope he's not dead. But if he is dead, he did a great job for what his role was. So yeah. But yeah, we get these assassins. They show up. Did you write down what Gandalf says to them when they show up? I forget. It's something silly, right? Like, so there's like 5 of them or something like that.
Do you know what I did not write that down? No.
All right, I'll put it in here. He says something silly. It's kind of fun, and then they all draw their swords. It's like, no, we mean business, and then they charge, and they start shooting arrows. Yeah. So then he creates a tornado, and it may or may not kill Nori and Poppy. It's one of those fake outs where they get sucked away.
Yeah, and then we never go back to them.
No, we
I don't think they come back they don't come back in episode 3.
They do not. And so this is, again, timeline wise, does that mean that whenever we pick back up, it's been many weeks, or is that literally right after they got sucked away? We'll pick back up with them, even though people have traveled to and from Eregion and Lindon and Greyhaven and Mordor multiple times. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, we'll see what they do with it. Because you know what? It'll be interesting if the tornado kills these bad guys, but it does not kill Nori and Poppy. Because you see that a lot. It's kind of a contrivance.
Yeah. It's a plot.
Because I think they need to both live. I think everyone needs to live, even these riders. For me to not.
No, I agree, and I really don't like that either. Where you're right, an explosion will kill just the bad guys, and then the good guys will wake up and they'll just have a little...
But the good guys are okay. Yeah, I think I don't know, some scene where there's a shipwreck and all the bad guys conveniently drown, and then the good guys are like that plank.
Yeah, like the good guys, like they're just so much smarter because of the good guys. They're smarter and better, so they caught a plank of wood and they're fine. Yeah. No, I agree. My only thought is maybe we get maybe there's some magic involved. If they have a talk about it where he is saying I'm starting to be able to harness my powers a bit better, where he could like magic them and like save them somehow, because like that might be able to start giving him his confidence to do magic better. I know we didn't really see Gandalf do that too much, but we did see moments of him doing, like when he went out to save Faramir's host coming back from Osgiliath. He all of a sudden like hits that light and it like gets away the Nazgul and that kind of stuff. So maybe he's able to like get out there and either like make the tornado that is pick them up gently bring them down or something. Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens here, because I agree. I don't want it to just be like, oh, luckily they all died and we all lived, and I'm sorry I tornadoed you guys.
I mean, that's a common trope. I mean,
it is. I know, but I don't like it. I'm with you. I don't like it. It's annoying. All right, so the tornado happens. We then go back to Eregion. We have Celebrimbor.
Oh, I mean, I also wanted to mention that it is a bit of a, like, he gets that staff, and you think that might end up being a staff, but it ends up disintegrating. So that's not a staff. That was just a stick he picked up.
That's just a stick. Yeah. Yeah, he's still looking for that perfect staff that has like a little bit of a claw grip on the end that you can put a little stone in to turn it on and off like a little flashlight.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we cut back to Celebrimbor, and he's used the last of the mithril on a stone tablet like a noob. He just used it up. What's he doing? Why? Anyway, he wrote this cool little. He made a stone tab that only works in night light.
The moonlight.
Yeah.
Get the Moria door thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know what I know it's a reference to.
Which is sort of an issue. It's sort of an issue though, because they're gonna kill him very soon. I can tell, because Celebrimbor needs to be dead by the time Galadriel and Elrond arrive, I imagine. And they don't have that where he builds that door for them.
No.
Or they didn't put that in. That would have been nice. Or maybe they can slide that in next episode.
Because he's meeting with the dwarves now.
And you can be like, here, I'm gonna do this for you too while you give us the mithril or something.
Yeah, and then we can have a fun little thing like, what should the password be? And then they start like saying a bunch of random stuff. And how about friend? And then everyone's gonna hate that, but I think it's fun. But yeah, so he uses the last bit of mithril on this random stone tablet, and then he looks out and I don't know if he sees Halbrand. But Halbrand is definitely like doing something, right? He's still
standing there.
He's standing there.
He's staring at the tower in the rain, and it's thundering.
Yeah, and it's almost like he's in a trance, and he's almost like conjuring the thunder to like make him seem more pitiful. I don't know. I don't know what his powers are. But he's like dead inside. Like his eyes. There's nothing in. He's just staring.
Yeah.
But. It's enough to get Celebrimbor to come down and meet with him anyway.
Yeah, he tells him to go away.
That's all you need, because then, boom, he's in your head.
And then Halbrand says, she said you'd say that.
Yeah. He plays him like a fiddle, and he even does that classic trope where Halbrand's like...
She said you'd say that.
And Halbrand, like, after a bit of talking, Halbrand's like, well... he tells him some like little bits of detail that aren't true, and then he's like, all right, I'm leaving. I know where I'm not wanted. It's like, you've been standing here for like a week. No way are you leaving, my dude. You didn't come here just to say, she said you'd say that.
And then,
but it works beautifully.
Then he plays that. Well, the Linden don't appreciate your craft. It's how it always is.
Yeah.
It's, the artist never gets appreciated.
Yeah, they're wearing the rings and being happy.
He's stroking his ego.
Yeah.
So then Celebrimbor brings him in and gives him food, shelter, and wants to know if the rings worked.
Yeah.
And the rings work. The elves are fine. So Celebrimbor revels, and he wants to open his first stage bottle of wine.
Yeah.
And Halbrand continues to work his deception. He asks if they're friends, and they are, so which means he can control them.
Yeah.
And says Galadriel sent him away when she found who he was. And he tells Celebrimbor that he wants to create rings for men to help fight Mordor. And Celebrimbor is like, well, elves are not men, men are not elves. Men are so easily corrupted. It's not gonna that'd be so dangerous to give them these rings. And I don't know how he doesn't get convinced away from that, but
well, because that's when he reveals
he's a god.
I'm Anatar, and I am the voice of the gods, and this is what Middle Earth needs to ward off the evils. Is not just the elves having rings, but the dwarves and the men. And
he strokes the ego even more. He says he's like, sometimes the Valor sends messengers to the wisest people in Middle Earth to help them.
Yeah. Like, that's why I've come to you, and I didn't take this to Gil-galad, because this is your task. Yeah. So
you're gonna be the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Throw that in there.
Exactly. And I will.
Hey, that's the name of the franchise.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings. I like this. He should sit back sipping wine. I like the sound of that. The Lord of the Rings. So what I will say is, so we get the reveal that he is Anatar, or that he's claimed to be Anatar, and he's wearing the wig. So here we got the wig moment.
Wait, that explains it.
It explains it 100%. We're all idiots. All of the memes we posted, all the jokes we said, even here on this channel, we did some. It's all explained. He's not pretending to be someone completely different. He's like, here is my true form. I look like a god here, and this is what I was wearing to blend into the society, but it's still my face. So it makes sense. There's no issue. There's no plot hole. It doesn't ruin anything. It's perfect.
It was funny though.
Oh, it was hilarious. The Lord of the Wigs. It was hilarious. It was amazing.
This shapeshifter.
The shapeshifter is just wigs, and he's got a blonde. He's got gray hair. But no, it makes sense now, and it sets up, if he ever does transition. We've seen another version of him from the intro to episode 1. So it allows them to use that same actor so we will know. It'll be dramatic irony. The audience will know that that's Sauron, but everyone else in the scene won't. And so it allows us to have that insight, which is kind of fun. Because that's one issue I have with shapeshifters or things of that nature, is that the audience, it's hard for the audience to know unless you almost kind of give them a wink and a nod, like, oh, here he is, like putting his like fingers together, being evil. Like you have to like show them that this is the villain.
I know that he's a shapeshifter, but they kind of also maybe like, they make it so like it's kind of like Doctor Who. When he dies, he regenerates as someone else.
Yeah.
I wonder when Gandalf died, why did he regenerate as Ian McKellen again? Gandalf should have come back as I don't know, some different actor. That would be funny. If they get like Doctor Who, and every time these guys die,
so my thought was like, when he died, so he didn't come back in the same way. Gandalf was sent back.
Okay.
But this guy had to eat bugs and rats and then humans to become this guy that we see. So this is just what happens when you eat a bunch of bugs and rats and humans. Is you look like this guy. Versus Gandalf, he just got sent back in his normal form. And to be honest, if this is what you look like when you eat a bunch of bugs and rats and humans, maybe there's something to that diet. I don't know. But I mean, stupid, sexy Sauron is how I always refer to him. Whenever he's up to something, I just turn to whoever I'm watching this with and go, stupid, sexy Sauron. And then they look at me like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, well, because, he's so charming. Like, Galadriel basically was in love with him for a bit. Like...
Well, it's funny because that's the Simpsons meme too.
Exactly.
That's
exactly it. That's exactly it. I would, they if there was a scene where I could find him kind of doing a little butt wiggle, I would mirror that together with Flanders doing the butt wiggle. That'd be so good. But yeah, we get the reveal. He's he is pretending to be Anatar, and he's here to help mend Middle Earth, and he needs, again, stroking the ego, Celebrimbor to do it. And Celebrimbor, I mean, we already know he has an ego and wants to be remembered as like the greatest craftsman of all time, and so this is going to work perfectly for him. It's an amazing character flaw for the actor to tap into. And I will say, I am starting to come around on this actor. If you've seen any other videos from season 1, you know how much I made fun of this actor. Cool, yeah. I was really hard on this guy, harsh on this actor. I think he's coming around. I think he's starting to actually tap into the seriousness of his character, and not just because the scenes would be him kind of making like these funny cheesy smiles at the camera like he's in a soap opera, and like it just wasn't like that's not what his character can't be just doing that the whole time. There has to be some serious underlying character motivation, and now we see it. I want to see how far he can push it, because I don't know how much time we have with this character left, but I hope we get some of those internal struggles that we got in the likes of Boromir, or even if you go back to like other characters like Macbeth and Hamlet, like they have these inner turmoils that literally carry the entire weight of the play or of something. So he might be able to do that if he's given the rope to do it. So I want to see it. But yeah, that's the end of episode 2. Any last thoughts here?
Well, it's not quite the end, because they do talk about I think we cut back to Lindon, and you have
Galadriel. Oh, that's right. Elrond.
Gil-galad, and they're sending Galadriel to Region with 5 of something else. 5 of the best elves?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And Elrond is gonna lead the team.
Yes. He has agreed, so Galadriel's speech did move him, but he has one thing needs to be clear, is that he's in charge of this squad of elves, not Galadriel, because she can't be trusted. Galadriel has already admitted she doesn't know if she can trust herself. So I don't think she should be upset by this. Why would she be in control if she's the one?
I'm not. I mean, yeah, they're implying that she's upset a bit, but yeah, she shouldn't be. You're right.
Did she think she would be the leader? Like, she's the problem. Oh, writers, you're killing me on this. Let Galadriel, let the character have her flaws, and then try and work towards. They give her moments, and then they take them away. Like, no, you know what? I should be leading this company. I'm perfect. You suck. Like it's crazy to me. Anyway, we get that moment. You're right, and we get that last little bit with the dwarves receiving a message from Celebrimbor himself. Not even their normal ambassador, Elrond. It's Celebrimbor saying, "Hey, come here. We can help you with your problem."
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's the end of the episode right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this one was a much stronger episode than episode 1. So I saw these together, and so I thought I had a good reaction watching both together. When I went back and watched them separately, episode 1 was much more like lacking in what I was hoping to see. This one got back on track with getting good dwarf stuff in there. The elf stuff is starting to get more dramatic and more in line with where I want it to go. And then I am starting to really like the scenes with Nori and the stranger. We still don't have Numenor yet, and we didn't get any orcs. Well, we got like a tiny. Did we get a tiny bit of orcs in this one? I don't even think we got a tiny bit of orcs. I think it literally just. Yeah, orcs are. We see some horse riding to and we get a little bit of the dark wizard, or whatever that's going on. So we got like that intriguing thing. I don't know. I thought this episode was better. Still some funny bits, but for the most part, it's getting back on track with making me interested in the drama. I don't know how you felt about this one versus the first one. I know you kind of binged.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the show actually. I mean, I've tried to avoid the other YouTube channels to just so we'd be less biased, but it took us a while to get around to this, so I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, no, I know.
And,
I'm the same.
And yeah, I mean, I think they're being harsher than I feel. I think it's actually fine.
Yeah, like I said, the first episode, there was a lot of catch up that I didn't think we needed, but then again, I'm someone that had just watched the entire first season leading up to this, and so I was like already up to speed. I could maybe see people needing it. This episode is now a true episode of what I wanted to get to. So I'm actually happy with how this episode worked out. Yes, I still have issues with how they're treating Galadriel. I know that's probably a big talk of other channels, but they also focus on other random stuff that doesn't matter at all. So, like, I kind of imagine
they're really hung up on the lore being broken, but I mean, I think that has to be the case. I guess.
Yeah, and also if you're watching this and still like, this is why I try to mention things, and I might reference them occasionally, but I don't want to always. That's why I don't talk about dialogue that much. It's because, like, alright, I've said what I said about it. If something comes along that changes, I'll update my stance. But until then, you know, I struggle. I think the dialogue is their weakest point. I don't say it all the time. All they talk about is this lore is broken. This, like, yeah, we get it. The lore is broken. Like, this isn't.
Yeah, and I mean, they're like, oh, it's just fan fiction. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
Now, and I will say also now, and this is the thing. This show is struggling with for me, which is Peter Jackson broke lore, and I didn't know at the time, and I didn't care at the time, and in hindsight, I don't care. I think Peter Jackson told a better story. Having now read the books and seen the movies, Peter Jackson's story is more intriguing to me. The characters are more rounded, and he gave other characters that were backgrounds in the books more screen time, and it actually made the story better. So that's Peter Jackson going against lore. This show, it's not going to have the lore because they only have the appendices, which apparently that's what everyone has. Nobody has the rest of the stuff. So I actually don't know if they're allowed to tell the real story, because if you only have the appendices and the appendices don't mention a particular moment, you can't have that moment happen for the character, because then you would essentially be going into works that are not owned by Amazon, right? Like, so
yeah.
If Galadriel did something at a particular moment, you couldn't actually show that exact scene if it's not already mentioned in the appendices, I think. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't actually know how that would work, but
I don't know how it works either.
But why, like, if they're only giving you the appendices, they're basically saying, do not do the correct lore, right? Like, do not include this, this, and this, and this, because you don't have access to it. So I'm kind of confused if they even could do it, if they wanted to. That's the one hand. I also agree that the show is missing, so Peter Jackson tapped into the narrative structure of Tolkien and brought that to life. This show isn't quite capturing it for me. This is a very, like, Hollywood fantasy.
Yeah, it's a fantasy using the Lord of the Rings as a backdrop. Yeah.
Yeah, and so to me, the voice of the show, like the way the show feels, hasn't quite got me back to that Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's starting to get there in parts, but there's a lot of it that isn't there yet. So I'm hoping it keeps going towards it. But yeah, that I think the people are being a little too hard on the show. If you watch this and you hate everything about it, I honestly don't watch it. Because, like, go watch something you do like. Like, I know The Boys are also on Amazon, and a lot of people do like The Boys. I like The Boys too, so go watch that show. Or wait for Fallout Season 2. That one got big praise, and it was a great show. Great video game as well. So, I just think harping on the fact that the show is not following the lore and has problems. It does. I think that's just kind of silly to do. I mean, look, I'll say when I don't like something. Like I've said it on this show, but at the same time, I'm enjoying a lot of aspects of it. And so, if there's nothing you enjoy about this show, I would say you probably shouldn't watch it because like this is what it is. Like if the show just continues at this pace, I'll have a fun time. I'm not gonna fawn over the show the way I do about the original trilogy if it just continues at what it's at because I don't think it's at that same level. But it's still an enjoyable show for what it is at the current pace. Um, so that's my
it's picking
thoughts.
I think it's picking up from season
I
1.
think it
Yeah.
is too, and we did hype it up. So I'm hoping that I
It's a
wasn't just a hype
little
man.
I think they're doing a good. I think they've learned some lessons from the first season. And
Yeah,
I think they've even taken some of the criticism and actually
I think so too.
been,
I think they are
been
leaning into
constructive
it.
from it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in fact, I mean, this is maybe just a weird little thing that might not even be true. I'd have to go watch a side by side. I think they even like on for something as minor as Deesa's sideburns. I think they thickened them up a little bit to like make it clear that like dwarven women have facial hair because that was a big deal at the start of the show. And then also they've kind of gotten away from these close-ups of Galadriel just like speaking as if she's in a like to a large audience.
I mean, Galadriel hasn't been as important so
Exactly.
far, which is good.
But like you
So,
know what I mean? Like so in like if you go back and watch like because we you and I just watched the first season throughout the summer, like from episode 1 all the way through, every time she's like talking to someone, it almost it zooms in on her and then she's almost talking to like a crowd. She
yeah.
she's just like I am the commander of the Northern Armies or I am Galadriel and you will do it and I'm like you're just talking to like the queen in like her private chamber. Like stop talking like that. Just speak normally. Write her and
Yeah.
have normal dialogue. And they did in that scene with Elrond and her and she's actually showing emotion. Oh, and they kind of did this too at the end of season 1 where she's talking to Theo. I didn't love the dialogue there, but the way she delivered it and the style of dialogue they wrote for her was much better. And then that scene with her and Elrond, that nails it. I think it's a great scene. And so they're starting to like figure out how they want these characters to be presented. They just need to find a way to make all of it feel there are better parts and there are worse parts and they need to find a way to get that consistency across the board and they're not quite there yet. But they are growing, and I'm hoping they keep going in the same direction. And look, we haven't even seen all the stuff that is definitely coming because we know there's a battle coming. We already know that. And we know that this show has been raised up to a much higher age rating, and we haven't seen why yet. So, like, there's definitely stuff coming that the audience, if you're still watching this, because you're enjoying some of it, but you're not sure. Like, just keep watching just to see if they can bring that to the screen properly. Because I'm curious to see how they go about doing this. Like, what caused that age rating and this battle
I
we
think
talked about.
that Celebrimbor dying in that vision was kind of graphic.
Oh, it was graphic, but is that like an 18A or whatever rating?
Is that what it's rated? Oh no, it's probably more 14.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's definitely higher than 14. So like I think we're gonna see something here. It might just be the battle is really over the top because that's what I think bumped the original trilogy up each time. Each battle scene was bigger and more gory than the last. So, like Fellowship, there's not a ton of like there's battle. Like don't get me wrong, it's no fighting. The battles aren't as vicious and visceral. And then obviously Helm's Deep is great, but it's at night, and there's a lot more archery going on, and then there's like that fun scene on the right in front of the door, but it's not as visceral. And then obviously Return of the King, that's when you get the huge climax. So that bumped each movie was bumped up in age rating, and I'm pretty sure it was because of those battle scenes.
Hmm.
So if this one got bumped up because of a battle scene, I'm kind of curious as to what exactly is happening here. I'm kind of worried. I don't want it to go in the direction of Rebel Moon, as we just talked about,
Oh.
because like the reason that thing got bumped up is kind of like that's not what I want in my Lord of the Rings. For the record, I don't want that. I think you can have
No,
a
yeah, that's not the aesthetic. Yeah.
no, you can have. I mean, look, the original trilogy goes from like PG to 14A to 16 maybe, or maybe it's PG 13 14A, something like that. It goes up in increments each movie. You don't need to change a thing. The movies are great. Like I don't need those things to be rated R or whatever or something. So like they're great. You can still tell a great battle story in those age brackets. Um, so I'm curious to see. I hope people stick around with us to see where they go with it. But yeah, let us know down below what you guys thought of this episode, and are you glad that we're getting more of the dwarves in here again? Are you holding out for Numenor? Because we still haven't seen Numenor yet. We're 2 episodes in, like 2 hours into this movie, and we haven't seen Numenor. So hopefully we get some Numenor soon.